Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wonder why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
Yeah, Logan, it's going to be a really fun season. As you said, 10 weeks, and there's no better place to start a season than right here at Daytona. Yeah, for sure. This racetrack always seems to produce instant classics. I mean, the photo finish in NASCAR, Daytona's kind of known for that kind of finish where you've got all these cars in a pack. They're running so close to each other all the time. And if you can stick with it to the end, there's always going to be some craziness coming down that front straightaway at the start finish line.
And I have just realized that my mic has been turned off the entire time. I apologize for that, but we have quite the season ahead of us. We'll pull this back up real quick, talk about the schedule. Daytona, Homestead, Iowa, Auto Club, Darlington, Sebring, Charlotte. Off week between Charlotte and Talladega. The last two races of the season, Las Vegas and Atlanta. I'm really ashamed to say that I messed that up. I felt like that was a pretty good intro there. I'm glad that you got to hear it, Sky, but
Hey, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
We'll get right down here to the track as we've got our drivers taking the grid, and let's take a look at what we've got going on.
Hey, you can get your track facts up for tonight. We're going to run 70 laps at Daytona. Pit speed limit tonight is going to be right around 60 miles an hour in that pit lane. You've got 3 tire sets available, 1 try at a green-white checker. So if you mess up the first time, you're not going to get any more. 85% fuel load is going to make this really interesting. If this race goes green, you might see some drivers 2-stop or try to save and stretch the gas can to only make it 1. See a lot of cautions tonight. It's more likely that we're only going to have 1 pit stop, and it's a fixed setup, so all these drivers driving basically the same cars out here tonight, which is going to make it a really, really close race.
It absolutely will. Looking forward to being a part of it here. But as the cars are taking the grid, let's see who takes home. Oh, if this would work, that would be fantastic. I guess it's not going to. There we go. The EPD Evan Pienta Designs Pole Award. That goes to Charles Wembley in the 3 with a 50.74. Braxton DeWeese will take the outside line there for the 15 machine. We'll follow up with the rest of the field here. Second row start out with Jacob Bradley in the 50 machine, next to the 99 of Tom Lickert. Fifth place will go to Robert Brobst in the 5 machine, next to Chris Smith in the 28. Seventh will go to Justin Wilson in the 58 machine, next to Evan Pienta in the 55. Ninth, Levi Cox in the 54, next to Zachary Mitchell in the 23.
And coming in outside the top 10 tonight, it's going to be Rye Jones in the 91. On the inside of row 6, Ryan Rose in 12th to the outside. Rob Liedl's going to roll off 13th tonight in the 80 with AJ Maglio 14th in the 00. Benson Weaver starts 15th tonight with Dade Grajewski on his outside in row 8. Nathan Gentry is going to roll off in 17th in that 4 car with Brian Brobst on his outside in 18th. And rounding out the top 20 tonight is going to be Steve Vest in the 60 car and Johnny Rapp in the 52.
Try to speed through the last half of this field as the drivers are entering turn number 3. Dylan LeBeau in the 26 will start out in 21st, next to Jay Heischman in the 06. Chris French in the 53, next to James Danforth in the 88. Chase Berry in the 46, next to Max Cost in the 63. 27th will go to Ryan Phillips in the 27, next to the 8 of Ellis Thomas. Jacob Phillips in the 31 and Jake Mackey in the 13th will be the last of the top 30. We'll run through the rest of these drivers here. Sean Maholan as the green flag drops, and we are live at Daytona for the Pocket Crew Chief 175. Paul Thomas will round out the field there in 33rd. lap number 1 of the Pocket Crew Chief 175 of the Pocket Crew Chief Winter Series here with Spark is complete. Charles Wembley takes the first lap lead of the season. We are still 2x2 for about 12 rows. Nice clean and green action already. Love to see it setting up this way. A lot of paint schemes out here. I see a Wonder Bread out there in the field. A little Ricky Bobby action coming down here on the back stretch.
Outside lane starting to get a little bit of a run. That is the Braxton DeWeese currently pushing Justin Wilson on the top there. Those two cars are starting to get it hooked up, and they're trying to get a run on the outside of Charles Wembley. They're going to go for it, and Wilson's going to be able to lead the lap. He's not going to be able to pull down in front of the 3 car, though. Wembley will fight back on the inside with help from Jacob Bradley in the 50. Those two are kind of dominating the 2 lines so far, with Brobst and Lickert back there running in third.
2x2 still throughout this field. None of these drivers really able to make any sort of a move at the moment. Wilson claiming that second lap lead of the season. Wembley right there, door to door with him. Just enough room between the cars to fit a third. You wonder when we're going to see somebody try to poke their head in there and see if they can start gaining positions up the middle of this pack.
We'll definitely see it at some point tonight. I think right now, maybe a little too early for these drivers. Maybe once, instead of lap 4, it's going to be 4 to go. That's when you're going to see drivers start pulling anything they can to get up through the field. You're going to see 3 wide, 4 wide. Someone's going to be down on the apron. It's going to be chaos.
And we've got 70 laps of action set here for tonight to get through all of it. We are just barely scratching the surface of what this race can hold for us, but man, if these drivers can keep it up here, it's going to be an action-packed race. A lot of passing is going to happen eventually. That 85% fuel load, that should allow for anywhere from 35 to 40 laps, so we should see, at least one stop, whether it's under a caution or a green flag. Love to see the green flag stops here at Daytona, see if these drivers can handle that high-speed exit out of turn number 4, get slowed up all the way to 60 miles an hour to make it down pit road without getting that black flag penalty for speeding. That is a certain death for your race here at Daytona. That will put you down at least 1 lap. Probably a lap and a half here with the speeds that we are coming across. A little bit of a wiggle there from the second row on the outside. I believe that's Jacob Bradley in the 50 machine. Able to collect it back up. Might have been Braxton DeWeese there in the 15. It was.
Yeah, that outside lane has been getting really squirrely in there. The 15 and the Justin Wilson, the 58 up there in front. They keep getting little runs, getting themselves just slightly ahead of Charles Wembley, who's running that inside, but they can't get clear. Every time they start to pull away, the run just dies, and you've seen that right here. Wembley straight back out to the front, being pushed by Jacob Bradley, and now Robert Brobst is going to get a little bit of a run through into third. A little bit of a gap back to that next car on the inside, but they'll close up close enough so no one can get any thoughts of dropping down towards the front.
It's going to be all about side draft later on in this race. Once we start to get kind of single filed out, it will eventually happen. But for the moment, we are set for probably 20 laps before we start to see any of that happen. And by then, it's just turn left and pedal down until you get to that green flag stop area. I mentioned before, about lap 35 to 40 is when we should see some of these drivers start making their way down. Super speedway racing, not very rough on the tires by any means. So you might see some drivers take tires just for that little bit of an extra grip if there's a restart. But overall, tires not really needed here at Daytona tonight.
Yeah, and if some of these drivers can kind of stretch it a little bit on fuel, they will. Super speedways might not be conducive to tire wear, but they're very conducive to fuel saving because you can just run behind the car in front of you, maybe 60% throttle, and you'll pick up some extra gas. If these cars are really close on fuel and this race goes green, expect to see a lot of fuel saving out of pretty much everybody coming down to the end of the race.
Absolutely, as we're starting to see a little bit of a pack breaking off towards the rear here. Let's see who that's starting with. Looks like that's the 11 of Brian Brobst. followed up by Chris French, Chase Berry, Ellis Thomas, Jake Mackey, Patrick O'Toole, and Ryan Phillips. A little bit further back from the rest of the pack, but they have enough race cars there to at least work as a team and start catching back up to these lead cars.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're in one of these Daytona races, it can be almost a strategy to lose the pack. Kind of just hang out around the, 25th, 30th. Don't get in any trouble. If something crazy happens in this front pack and you get about 5 cars into the wall, you're going to have enough time to slow it up and not get too much damage if you run into it. So if you just want to keep your car clean and make a push at the end, it's not a bad idea to sit back there early. Bradley, taking the lead of this race, is going to cut down to the inside in front of Charles Wembley. We got a new leader on lap 9.
Makes 3 so far for this race, but that top line has a run coming across. 58 going to have enough whenever they come out of turn number 4 to take a lead lap himself. 58 being driven by Justin Wilson there on the outside line. The 15, Braxton DeWeese right behind him. A slurry of race cars all behind him. It's going to be a drag race to the end of this 70 laps.
We're already about 1/7 of the way through it here. Bradley still leading, Wembley on second place, right behind him on the inside. Brobst has kind of been running third car on this inside that whole time. Hasn't been a lot of lane switching at the front. The only thing I've really noticed is that Wembley did get passed by Jacob Bradley, who kind of pulled around him. Other than that, not too much trouble for any of these cars. We're all staying in lane, running each other pretty clean. I imagine as this race changes, that is going to change very quickly.
You would have to imagine so, but it's only a matter of time. And whenever you think of Daytona, Sky, what's one of the first things that you think about?
Oh, the big one.
The big
You always
one.
got to watch out for the big one.
Always have to watch out for the big one. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when whenever it comes to these super speedway races. Right now, all these drivers doing a fantastic job keeping it nice and clean. Starting lap 11 here. It's setting up for a fantastic race through and through. As we've got one dropping down. That is Chuck. I apologize, not Chuck. But that is Liedl. Liedl down there on the apron coming out of turn number 2.
Maybe just saw something he didn't like there. Decided, they might be having a wreck soon. I don't want to be involved in that. I'm going to take myself to the back and let them kill each other.
Yeah, that is probably the smart move. If you see something ahead of you that you're not a fan of, you might as well just eliminate yourself from the equation. Just stay away from it entirely.
Especially this early in a race. It's only lap 12. They don't got any fast repairs in this series. You do not want to get caught up in an accident on lap 12 that ends your night early.
Absolutely not. And that goes for anybody on this field. We see a couple movers there mid-pack. I believe that was Max Cost in that 63. Maybe a little bit further ahead of the 78 possibly. Didn't quite catch who moved down from that top line. But that back pack's starting to catch up now, Sky.
Yeah, they're getting a little closer to that main pack. Everybody on a train on the inside there, running right around that yellow line. Don't want to push up to the outside yet, because when you're in that big single file pack, trying to get the toe, you usually just want to run the bottom. It's a little safer to do that at Daytona. Still only 13 laps into this race, though, so those guys have a lot of time to get back up and make some moves if they want to. But I think for now, most people hanging out back of about 22nd or so are pretty content to just keep riding there.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you caught it, Sky, but whenever these drivers were coming out of turn number 2, I saw one lone car going down the back stretch. I believe that is Steve Best, who is at risk of going a lap down early here in this race, and also going to cause some complications whenever it comes to these drivers catching up and making their way around him.
Yeah, he started from the pit lane here, so he was alone from the get-go and has just been stuck out on his own. He's going to go a lap down pretty soon. He's only, it looks like, about 3 or 4 seconds in front of the leaders. At a track like Daytona, when the leaders have a draft and you don't, that's only going to take about maybe 2 laps or so to get up to Steve Best and make that car a problem.
On board here with our leader, Jacob Bradley. You can see that lone car up ahead of him, staying high up on the racetrack. He knows that these race cars are coming in with about 20 miles per hour difference on the speedometer. It's smart to get out of the way and not get freight trained by anybody. So there goes the 60. Yes, that is Steve Best. Keeping it high on the outside for these drivers to make their way around safely.
Yeah, he's just going to hang it out there. He doesn't want to cause any problems. He is in the wall, though, which might cause some problems for him. A little bit of damage to that right side and a almost near miss as he tried to pull it off the wall, but everyone gets around him pretty clean, and he'll drop to the rear of the field 1 lap down. He is the only car at this time 1 lap down, so if we do get a quick caution, he'll be put right back on the lead lap with that lucky dog, and I have to imagine that's what he's hoping for.
Starting from the pits is not the position you want to be in, especially at a race like Daytona, off of the restart or after the initial start, rather. These race cars are already pretty well up to speed once they get about halfway down the backstretch, and you still have to take the apron and come out between that blue cone that you'll see on the exit of turn number 2. And come out between that blue cone and the double yellow line for a safe entry. It's very slick down there on the apron. It's not something that you want to be doing too much speed on, as we just see a car into the outside wall. Purple car there. That will be, is that the 50? The 58 maybe? The 58 of Justin Wilson, yes. Off the outside wall there.
Yeah, Justin Wilson dropped all the way back from the lead there. He was up in front of that outside line, scraped the wall, and he got passed by about 3 or 4 cars there. He's all the way back in the mid-pack now, and it's going to be a long road to get his way back up to the front. He's currently the 5th car on the outside, as Robert Brobst, he spent all race running as that 3rd car on the inside line, has made a move up to the top. He's leading the outside, and we'll see if that works to get him a couple extra positions here, maybe take him to the lead of this race.
It very well could. That outside line has had a lot of momentum spurts. If they can hook together 4 or 5 race cars, they've got enough right there. They just need to get a little bit closer to make that push. That bottom line starting to break apart. Got 4 cars under a blanket here on that bottom line, and a nice little gap back there. I don't know. It's a lot of movement out here, but it also seems like no movement really.
Yeah, we just got a couple cars swapping lanes. These top 2 lanes have been pretty equal all race. The inside's got a little more cars, so I'm interested in seeing if anyone who's kind of back there on the inside decides take a chance, jump to the outside, and try to make something happen. But everyone seems decently content for the time being to not do anything too crazy. Brobst is taking the lead of this race because that outside is pushing, but once again, it can't get too far away without the inside immediately coming back to it, and you're seeing that here. We're going to be almost side by side coming to the start-finish line.
Bob on board here with the 3 of Charles Wembley. See what it looks like to be kind of in the middle of things as he takes a peek to the middle. Doesn't do anything with it. You see the 5 starting to fall back now. That outside line loses momentum on the entry of the corner. We'll stick here on top of the roof of the 3 car, and we will surely see that outside line start making a charge. Or they could just prove me wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're just yo-yoing back and forth, One lane drops back, waits a little bit, and then suddenly straight back in front of the other. Not going to be long, I don't think, before we see this outside line back to the front, and it's going to be because Wembley jumps up there, sees an opening, and he's going to take it. He'll lead the lap, and now Charles Wembley is going to be the first car on the outside, and he'll see if he can get together with Brobst back there and DeWeese to try to get something going on the top.
All these drivers pretty well playing it safe, nothing too aggressive happening, not seeing a whole lot of bump drafting. However, looks like our leader, Jacob Bradley, might be at risk of losing a position to the 54 of Levi Cox. Levi looking to maybe make a move to that inside. He really has to hope that driver behind him follows that 55 of Evan Pienta. It's going to be a team effort here for a win tonight if these drivers keep it nice and clean the way they are so far.
Yeah, a couple drivers have moved up. We have some drivers who have made up about 9 or 10 spots. First car of those is Nathan Gentry. He's currently running 7th. He's the 4th car on that inside in the number 4 car. Started 17th up to 7th tonight. There's also James Danforth, a little further back in the field. Started out back in 24th. He's worked his way up to 14th. He's currently the 7th car on that inside line. So a couple drivers have managed to pick up some big positions tonight and are moving their way through the field here early.
That they are. That Napa Auto Parts Ford Mustang here. The 88 of James Danforth. Up 12 positions. Biggest gainer so far. Battling for that with the 4 of Nathan Gentry. It's the A1 Chevy Camaro. There's a whole lot of race left, and we still have pit stop cycles to go through. We've got movement up here in the front. That's the 54, Levi Cox. He takes down to the bottom lane in front of the 50 of Jacob Bradley. Cox will lead his first lap of the race if he can hold this position. Coming down the back stretch now. This bottom line's looking really good as the 50 now looks to the outside. Jacob Bradley did not like the fact that Cox was in front of him. That's going to create that air bubble there off the back of the 54. It's going to bring him way back.
And both those cars are going to clear down to the bottom. The 50 of Bradley and the 55 of Pienta. Seeing that a lot. Cars jumping up off the inside up to the top line, and then they're able to get a little bit of a run on the top and then pull it straight back down in front of the leader. You saw Levi Cox do that. That's how he got the lead in the first place. And now you're seeing Pienta and Bradley do it. Levi's going to try to do it again. He'll go straight back to the top. He's going to get a push from Charles Wimbley, who's the first car up there. And I imagine if he manages to clear the 50, he's going to go straight back down in front of him.
We've seen that move a time or two already. Cox, one of those drivers that have made that move. 55 Pienta, a little out of shape here from behind the 50 of Bradley. Falls right back in line coming down through the tri-oval. Bradley leads another lap here at Daytona. Bradley, Cox, Pienta, Wimbley, Brobst, DeWeese, Lickert, Gentry, Rose, Smith, your top 10 at the moment. Not quite halfway through this race, but we're inching up closer to it.
Yeah, Gentry's still up 10 spots. He's making good time on the inside, but he hasn't been able to really get any sort of push, and he hasn't really been able to switch lanes either. He's kind of just been hanging back there, 4th car on the inside, not doing anything too dire at this point in the race, but laps still ticking off. We're on lap 24 out of 70. We're all over a third of the way through this right now. So these drivers are going to slowly have that aggression level start to ramp up, especially once this round of pit stops starts here, about 10 laps or so. After that, you're going to see these guys going for it.
Yeah, it's going to be an all-out brawl after these pit stops. Let's see who has it and who doesn't here to claim the first win of the new season. Pocket Crew Chief 175 well underway now. Still clean and green so far for 24 completed laps. Levi Cox with a massive lead on the outside line. But we've seen the 50 of Bradley and the 55 of Pienta make the move. Once that outside line gets a little bit closer, might see them fall back up in front, make their way back around the 54.
Yeah, there are 3 cars clear right now, but I would expect that outside line to get closed back up. If none of those 3 try to jump up there, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Pienta or Bradley just pulls it up to the top and tries to get a little bit of a run there too. 5 car of Brobst also starting to get a little bit clearer of Wimbley there on the inside, but Wimbley will get the run back down the straightaway and he'll kind of close that off. Still being pushed on that top line by Braxton DeWeese, who's been second up there on the top since the drop of the green flag. Those 2 cars are staying pretty steady up there, but they're fighting for those top 3 positions on the bottom.
Cox still with the advantage here, coming across the tri-oval one more time, claims 1 more lap led here tonight. A little bit out of shape there on the top line, 4 rows deep. able to get back in the spot without any issues. We have somebody back here a little bit further back. Took a look to the middle, decided that wasn't the right call at the moment.
No, a little too early in the race for that, in their opinion. I have to imagine if the lap counter said, 57 instead of 27, might as well give it a shot.
Absolutely, as they should. A little bit of separation here on the bottom line between the 5 and the 4. Robert Brobst, Nathan Gentry there. Need to tighten it back up if this bottom line wants to stay competitive with that top line. That top line doing a fantastic job of keeping out 8 cars all together very close. It's a great draft bubble to have, but that bottom line, led by Cox, it might not be this way next time by. That 3 of Wembley might claim another lap lead.
If Wembley keeps going on the top there, I have to imagine he's going to drop down in front of Cox, as we've seen happen a lot this race. Everybody's just taking advantage of that nose of Braxton DeWeese there on the outside. The moment they get clear of the car on the inside, they immediately try to drop it down. Wembley didn't have the run he needed into the corner, and that's going to let Levi Cox get straight back to the inside. But Wembley will get a little bit of a run down the straightaway, and he'll get really bent out of shape there with a bad push, and he won't be able to get the run through the trial.
I'll sacrifice a lap lead as long as I don't get wrecked all day, every day.
For sure.
So far, so good. Start of lap 29 here, still clean and green. We've got another lap car up ahead. Looks like that's going to be the 42 of Paul Thomas, falling back down to the clutches of our leaders.
Not what Steve Best and Jacob Phillips, the other 2 lap down cars, want to see. Levi Cox made a move up to the top of the racetrack, and it did not work because he's dropped it back to 3rd right now. It's Jacob Bradley and it's Evan Pienta now, bump drafting 1-2 to the lead. Cox 3rd, Brobst in 4th, 3rd car on the inside.
Got one moving down here to the bottom lane. It's a 15. Braxton DeWeese, we've said his name quite a bit already tonight. I would have to say, based off of the movements he's been making so far tonight, he should be up here battling for the lead at any given moment. That 15 machine looking extra fast here at Daytona.
I think it's the first time we've seen him down on the inside of this race. He's been so content to just push those guys up there on the top, trying to get some moves going in the top 3. Finally dropping down, he's going to see what he can do. See if this inside lane is any faster than the outside.
It's all going to come down to who can put together the most cars. Is it going to be the top line? Is it going to be the bottom line? Will it be the middle line whenever it finally starts to form? We start seeing some 3-wide action later on in this race, surely. Oh, we've got action here. Cox sideways through turn number 2. All these drivers collect it back up. No caution on the track.
Whoa, bit of a medium one right there.
Yeah, you can't quite call that the big one, but it all started with a bad push on the back of the 54. While we've got a second, let's take it back and see what happened to Levi Cox. Coming through turn number 1 and 2. Cox just came down a little bit too much, got into that front right quarter panel of the 55 of Evan Pienta, got everybody out of shape, cars way down on the racetrack, down below the apron, coming across the grass there. Luckily, still a green flag on the track. That is, wow, what a drive.
It's great news for Jacob Bradley and Evan Pienta because they have pulled really far away of everybody else. They've got a nice clear 1-2 up here. There's no one really near them. Charles Wembley is the next car back. He's leading a line of Brobst, DeWeese, and Tom Lickert back there. 4 cars that managed to sneak through that. Ryan Rose is tailing the back of that field, and then it is a 1.5 seconds back to James Danforth in 8th. He's going to need some help if he wants to get back up to these cars who are now leading the race.
The good thing is for the 88 of Danforth, he has plenty of cars behind him. Those cars should start forming that draft back up, start picking back up on the speed as they already have. Danforth collecting the 58 and the 91 right behind Justin Wilson and Rye Jones. They'll be able to start putting the pieces back together just like a puzzle. Surely we'll see these drivers start battling up here in the lead once more. Still kind of shuffling back here a little bit further in the pack. Right around that 4-car, Nathan Gentry, who we saw way up there in the top 10, now back to the 15th position. Struggling to find the speed. Sky, it looks like that that group that was in the very back of this, they had the right idea. They were able to navigate that accident without any issues. Not a whole lot of damaged race cars yet.
Worked pretty well for them, but I'd imagine they're probably hoping for a caution right now, because without one, it's going to be really hard to catch back up to these guys. You see that this is like a pretty consistent line of about 6 or 7 cars up here at the front working together. Everyone further back is still really fragmented. There's no real group of cars. There's no real line there. Everybody's just kind of on their own boat back of about 12th or so. So they're going to need to get some kind of line formed up, form a pack, because if they don't, they're just going to keep falling back, and those top 7 are going to keep getting away, barring a caution.
Now, one thing that we haven't touched on at all, Sky, that we probably should now, the drafting in these cars. What we'll start to see as this race goes on, especially with these packs trying to catch up with the leaders now, really going to have to focus on staying tucked in behind one another. But that causes an issue of the front nose of the car not getting enough air to keep the engine cool. They run a very high risk of overheating, and then the engine is not existing anymore. As we like to say, that would be a, oh, what's the phrase here I'm looking for? A unscheduled teardown, I believe, is the words I'm looking for.
Yeah, in
unscheduled disassembly, that's what it is.
In technical terms, we call that a kaboom, and you generally don't want to do it.
Kaboom here at Daytona is a race ender, that is without a doubt. Just as it would be a race ender at any place. I'm not quite sure why I said it that way, but I did, so I'll stand by it.
Hey, it is a race ender at Daytona. You got that right. Top 3 are starting to break away. Yeah, Pienta, Wembley, Brobst are trying to pull away from everybody else behind them.
Luis right there on the back end of Brobst. It is finally time for some green flag pit stops. Let's see if these drivers can make it down pit road. Pienta off the grass. That is going to be a black flag for Pienta. Unsafe entry.
A 4-car accident
road.
further back. Braxton DeWeese is around.
Let's find Braxton here to take a look at what happened with him.
It dominoed from behind that wreck. Somebody got turned, and DeWeese got turned, and they all kind of domino stacked up into each other.
All right, back here on the entrance of pit road. Keep an eye on that 15, middle of your screen. The 5 got loose. The 99 also off in the grass. Going to be a whole lot of black flags coming out after this. Luis just trying to get out of the way. Might have picked up a black flag himself. A lot of damage on that 15 car as well now.
Saw that on the overcut replay. Couple more cars coming in. Whole big pack coming down. A few cars have stayed out for the time being right now, led by Barry in the 46 car. Dylan LeBeau also up there. Johnny Rapp. Some of these cars who are staying out. I'm imagining a lot of these guys are going to be bringing it down this time. We'll see how that shakes out.
A little bit of a different strategy throughout here. We saw some more cars coming down pit road there. A lot cleaner of an entry than that first group. We still have about 7 race cars. I apologize. No, they are already in the pits. Everybody has completed their pit cycle and will be cycling back out here. It's going to be a massive gap. Right now, this group being led by the 91 of Rye Jones, followed up by the 3 of Wembley. We're going to have enough momentum out of turn number 2. Let's keep it off of the cars coming off of pit road. Rye Jones assumes the lead after everything that just happened.
Yeah, that was a pit stop about halfway through the race. So you've got to imagine everyone can make it on one stop now. Maybe potentially, even if we have a green white checker, I'd imagine these guys would want to save in case of that contingency. But for now, top 5 cars, Jones, Wimbley, Wilson, Bradley, and Danforth are gone from everybody else. They're going to really hope for a caution if you're behind about 6 right now.
This top 5, they have an opportunity to run away with it here as we're closing in on just, well, we are over halfway through this race now. It's going to be a matter of who can work together and catch back up to these leaders, or if a caution does come out, as we do have cars down on the apron through turns 1 and 2. That was almost a caution in itself. A lot of movement back here. You see these race cars snaking down the back stretch.
Yeah, a little bit squirrely, but everyone managing to survive there for the time being. A little close there with those cars trying to blaze a trail around the outside, and then those guys trying to make it off pit road without killing anybody.
Back here we've got a group of 4 to 5 cars. Really need to start getting single filed out if they want to make any momentum up towards the front. All the way back about 11 seconds from the leaders right now. 11 seconds is quite the distance here at a track like Daytona. Not something you want to see midway through the race by any means.
No, and you mentioned some of the cars who might have gotten penalties there from that pit road entry. Evan Pienta just went a lap down. Tom Lickert, Patrick O'Toole, both a lap down as well. Nathan Gentry, 2 laps down after that pit stop cycle. So a bunch of cars getting penalties, having problems going to the back. Braxton DeWeese is not 1 lap down, but he is out there alone, and he probably will get lapped here if he can't find some help.
That's the dangers of being at a racetrack like Daytona. You could almost call that one a medium one as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, looks like the only cars who have really made this work so far for them are Chase Berry and Johnny Rapp. Neither of whom were really in the conversation in that first run. They started both back in 20th and 25th, respectively. They've gotten those cars 6th and 7th, are the last 2 cars in the lead pack, and it is 10 seconds back to Ellis Thomas, who's the next car in 8th.
You see those drivers there in the lead. Quite the distance there. They were coming across a tri-oval, top 7, like Sky just mentioned. 8th place, the 8 of Ellis Thomas, was just exiting turn number 4 as Rapp was crossing the finish line. We have a whole slurry of race cars. If they can keep it in a line like this, we'll see that gap start to close. Now that is determined by some of these cars in this pack having quite a bit of damage from those incidents. Aero is ever so important here. If you have even the slightest bit, if you touched another car, you've scraped the wall, as you see there on the back end of the 28, that rear bumper pushed in right in the middle. That is not helping at all.
No, not at all. And for a lot of these guys who are back here, it's kind of a catch-22 of, I really want to caution because I'm sitting alone back here in 20th, but also we're all single file and none of us are really going to cause a caution when we're just racing single file trying to catch back up. So it's one of those really difficult positions to be in, and that second line is just continuing to free fall. 12 seconds now to the lead pack, up from about 9 or 10 as it was a couple laps before, and they're even trying to get a little racy with it, which is not going to help them.
Not at all, Sky. You hit the nail on the head with that. That, as you're describing, I would call that a catch-22, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you get stuck back there and you're just kind of praying for a caution that you also can't really have happen in any way without just hooking somebody.
I do think that most of these cars have realized that 28, with all the damage that he has on the back end of that car, it's not helping the group effort to catch back up. So they have separated themselves. We have a top line that is formed, a bottom line that's kind of there, kind of not. But as you mentioned, they're not making any ground on the top 7 right now. In fact, still losing ground.
No, well, it's because they're side by side. That top lane is single file. They're all working together. These guys are treating this like it's a race for the win, but it's actually for 8th. As long as they're side by side, they are going to continue to free fall, and I think even if they get it single file, they're still not going to gain time because they've dropped about 4 seconds now.
Dangerous side effect of being caught in any sort of incident at a super speedway, even some speedways, some of those 2-mile tracks out there can really be affected by even just the most minor of damage to the body of these Xfinity cars. It shows. We are now at a 13-second gap from 7th to 8th.
Yeah, that gap's only going to grow if they can't get themselves in a pack and together. Meanwhile, these front 7 cars, I'd imagine, are going to be pretty content to ride around, not do anything crazy, and maybe until about 5 laps to go, just take it easy and be calm with each other. Once we do get inside 5 or 10 laps to go, that's where you're going to see these lanes start to split. These cars got to go. The only difficulty is when you're in a pack like this, no one wants to be the car to make the first move. Because if you jump to the outside, no one goes with you. Well, you've just forfeited your position and you've gone to the back. You want to be the car who's pushing that guy, and you can all get together to the front.
If you step out of line and nobody follows you, you might have well has just activated a parachute off the back of your car because you are going to the back of the line. The gap that you left will close, and it will be rapid. And then all of a sudden, you've got 5, 6, 7 cars that are going around you. Because right now, we have Rye Jones having to navigate this entire pack around some of the lap traffic, the 15 and the 4. It's Deweis, the 4 of Gentry.
Yeah, a couple more cars going to lap down. As we said, that 15 car had a lot of problems getting into pit road, and that's going to cost him all of this time. He was spun out in the grass for about 25 or 30 seconds as everybody else came in with him, and he just had no help going to the back. There's a couple lap cars that have kind of tagged onto the rear of this pack here. Steve Vest, 2 laps down, is also just hanging out with these guys. We got a couple dudes kind of out of the race, but are just in this pack trying to make time. Nathan Gentry is also up there. He is also 3 laps down. They're sticking side by side there further back. Those are mostly lap cars kind of taking the top, trying to see if they can make something happen. But Johnny Rapp is up there with them. Chase Berry as well, now trying to work something to the top. And it's because there are lap cars like Evan Pienta just in the middle of this bottom line. He's slotted in right now between Bradley in 4th and Danforth in 5th. He's the first car 1 lap down. And these guys like Deweis behind can't stop fighting, because if they do, then Pienta's just going to get the lucky dog.
And that's got to be what's going through Pienta's mind at the moment. As the best case scenario for that driver of the 55 machine. Get back on the lead lap. Braxton Deweis back there quite a ways. Very much at risk of not getting a lap back unless the top half of the field comes down pit road, and then we get a wave around. But you have to have everybody in front of you on that lead lap come down for that to happen. Very unlikely, as this should be a one-stop race for these drivers.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody's going to need to come down a second time unless, you know, something weird happens with fuel and we get a green-white checker and he didn't save enough. Maybe you've got to try to make a move down then, but even other than that, I can't imagine somebody having to pit here unless they just didn't save any fuel.
That is one thing that Rye Jones has to keep in mind. Being at the front of that pack, he is absorbing all of that wind force. So he's got extra drag as Max Koss gets sideways, collects it back up, puts a couple other drivers out of shape there, but everybody keeps it straight. Fantastic recovery by the drivers in the back half of this field. Max Koss in that 63 just barely got the apron. Got that left side suspension unsettled. You can see exactly how high that banking is through the corners and why that happens. You go from a 31-degree angle to nearly flat. These cars do not like that.
No, and as these cars continue to go side by side around there, you start to run into some problems where maybe somebody will cause a caution because they're racing so hard back there for about 8th or 9th. Caution is the absolute last thing anyone at the front wants to see because, you know, even if you don't win this race, you're 17 seconds clear of the cars behind you. Bare minimum, you're going to get a good points day out of this. So these cars about 8th on back, everybody's begging for a caution. Top 7, hoping it stays as green as can be for the last 19 laps.
That is the hope and the dream here for the Pocket Crew Chief 175 at Daytona. Just have to see, we've mentioned it a couple times, a little bit of movement throughout the pack. It could cause somebody behind you to be uneasy with whatever move you're trying to make a move themselves that they are not quite comfortable with, and really just upset the entire field. Now we're starting to see, like you've mentioned, a little bit more of a battle for this pack that's 17 seconds back. It's the double O leading this. AJ Maglio. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, AJ. I apologize if I'm not. Battling with the 53 of Chris French. Dylan LeBeau out there as well. It's getting tight back here for these race cars. They are starting to close that gap where earlier we saw some separation between the outside and the inside line. Now it's time that we're starting to see these drivers pick up on that side draft. That side draft will be ever so important to make progress on the lead of the pack. Put yourself up there in contention for a better finishing position.
Yeah, no one's working with anybody anymore. It's time to go, and that's what you're seeing from those cars at the back. Still haven't seen it much from the cars at the front, though. They're still all in one big line right around the bottom, not taking any risks yet because they all want this to go green as long as possible. If they can just keep it straight here until probably about the next 10 laps, probably about 5 to go, they'll be fine. They'll be doing all right. And then it's just going to be the cars at the back who are having a melee back there for 9th. That's kind of the real problem, the real threat to these guys. It's not if they catch up to them, it's if they crash and cause a caution.
Absolutely. And if you're not familiar with NASCAR rules, if the white flag comes out, the race is official. Anything that happens after the white flag, there will be no caution. But before that, if we are within the last 3 laps, we will have one green-white checkered attempt. See if these drivers can make it to that area before anything happens. But for now, here inside 20 to go here for the season opener, the Spark Racing League.
They're still fighting hard back there. Chris French is trying to get a little bit of a run going on the outside along with Dylan LeBeau there on the top. They're trying to make something happen on the top. Meanwhile, Maglio and Ellis Thomas are running it right down on the bottom with Brian Brobst behind them. Those are kind of the top 5 cars in this pack, and they're the ones keeping it side by side. Everyone behind them doesn't seem to be pushing it too hard, and you've even got a car back there in Patrick O'Toole who is just hanging out, hoping nothing bad happens.
That's almost all you really
Oh, there's
can
the wreck.
do.
There's the wreck. Yeah, they wrecked right at the front of that pack. It's Chris French and it's Dave Grajewski in the grass, and we've got our caution. The leaders hate to see that.
This just flipped the entire race on his head, as we're going to stack all of these cars back up. Man, that 17-second lead just completely gone in an instant. Let's take this back and see what's happened to Chris French here.
Yeah, Chris French decided he was going to try the middle lane. Probably the first car we've seen try it all race, and I honestly, coming down the back straightaway, I don't think it could have gone much worse for him because he got squeezed down into the middle by LeBeau. Grajewski was already on his inside, and he was just kind of stuck there. You'll see it right here. Sticks the nose in on this 26. 26 keeps coming down. He's got to come down, and he tags the 6 and spins out.
Six just has to follow him. He has no other option there. Take it back, take a look at another angle here. The 53 just had nowhere to go. Doesn't look like the 6 let off the throttle whatsoever as he just powers through that backstretch grass. Take it back again. He'll look from the top down.
Yeah, that's what happens when you got 3 cars and none of them want to lift and all of them want the position.
You hate to see it for those leaders, but it definitely helps out to make this much more of an interesting finish.
Oh yeah, this is going to be chaos to the end now because all those cars who were in trouble earlier are going to be able to get right back up. We're seeing some cars come down pit road here. Jacob Bradley made the hard left turn into the pit lane, along with some guys further back like Chris Smith, Nathan Gentry, Ryan Rose, all making moves down pit road here. Maybe this is a case of a green-white checkered, or maybe they just want to put some tires on it and fix some damage.
I would have to say that the damage is going to be the most important thing here. They need to get as much of that fixed as possible. That way they can keep up with the pack on this restart. But, I mean, like I've mentioned a time or two before, the aero here is going to be the most important factor for the restart in all these drivers. As we see one down there on the apron, that's typically a tactic of saving fuel. So if you get down on that apron, you are technically turning less mileage around the racetrack, thus meaning that you're using less fuel coming around. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I believe that was the 15 of DeWeese.
Yeah.
See if he has enough fuel to make it to the end.
He's a lap down. I think he's the first car a lap down, so he might just be letting these guys by to get to the back of the field. Because he's going to be one of 4 cars a lap down, along with Lickert, O'Toole, and Paul Thomas when this goes back green. EOL penalty given to Chris French for that accident.
Very interesting to see French catching the penalty. It's obviously going to make this race a whole lot harder for French to get back up to the front of the pack and take care of business.
He's going to have to go through about 25 cars, 26 cars on the lead lap now, with Evan Pienta getting his lap back. Him and Max Koss are the 2 back there who really got bailed out by that because Koss was pretty close to getting lapped if that didn't come out.
Well, let's take this opportunity to talk about next week. Next week, do have, pull this back up here, get our schedule. So next week at Homestead, we have 110 laps on the docket for that race. I would assume we're going to go with pretty well the same format with the 1 green-white checkered, 80% fuel. Likely have a couple more tire sets as Homestead is one that's known to claim tires. It's going to be a good, hard race there. Sky, what's your favorite aspects to see in a Homestead race?
I like how multi-groove that track can be. Like, over the course of a run or over the course of a race, you can move from the bottom to the top. Both lines can work. You can get some great side-by-side action there. I think it's one of the best tracks, not just to watch, but to drive on iRacing as well. Because you've got so many different options with how you can run that place. And it'll really show next week. I mean, you can maybe fit more lines around Homestead than you can Daytona at points.
Yeah, it's very, very possible. And the High Line being one of the most dominant spots to be at Homesteads. We'll see if these drivers and put in the effort to keep that car as close to that wall as they possibly can. That is where all that speed comes from in those late runs. You're going to see most of your passing opportunities throughout the race. But the lights are out on the pace car. These drivers are coming back around. See this pace car drop out of frame here just momentarily. We'll be set. Green flag, hopefully to the end of this race. Pace car is off. Rye Jones will lead him to the Geico restart zone. And he is on the loud pedal. We are green one more time here for the Pocket Crew Chief 175.
With 12 laps to go. That inside line has gotten a great jump. Rye Jones, Justin Wilson, Chase Berry, and Charles Wembley are immediately clear of the outside. Just a terrible start for the cars up there. They haven't been able to get anything going, and Rapp and LeBeau are in free fall. In fact, they're just going to pull down to the inside line. So it's going to be about a 10 or 12 car tandem here, all working right around the yellow line with 11 laps to go. I don't think it's going to be long till we see someone try to pull out to the outside and make something happen.
Have to hope so. It is too late in this race to not be risky with your moves. If you want the win here tonight, you have to do something special. That outside line, as you mentioned, did not quite get the jump that they wanted. You have to wonder if that was due to damage from the previous incidents that we've seen. But all in all, this bottom line rather is running away. We're seeing the two packs starting to form already.
And you're seeing your big movers come through the field as well. Chase Berry up 22, James Danforth up 19 from the start of this race. Those were two cars who really took advantage of that big caution and the pit cycle, got themselves up to the front, and have made it work. We might be going 3 wide a little further back here. I don't know. Rob Lytle tried something, and it didn't end up working for him. He'll drop a couple spots behind LeBeau and Grajewski. Didn't quite work, but he tried the move to the top.
He certainly did. Almost a block from a couple drivers in front of him. Like you mentioned, nearly 3 wide, just didn't quite happen, but now we're back up to 2 wide here, closer to the front of the pack. It's a 52, Johnny Rapp. Got a couple cars ahead of him. See if this outside line can start to form some speed. See if we have a challenge for the lead. We certainly do at this point. Being led by the 46 of Chase Berry. Little wiggle there for the 91 of Rye Jones.
Outside's coming right back to it.
They absolutely are. It is a dead heat right now between these two lines. It's only a matter of time before that third one forms up. Will we see it from one of these drivers up here in the top 10? Will we see it coming from the back of the pack? It's only a matter of time to tell, as these cars are finally starting to get grouped back together, and we once again have a race here on our hands, Sky.
Yeah, with 9 to go, you're seeing the cars getting a little bit more wiggly out there, sliding around the track, trying to peak, trying to make moves, thinking about it, but not quite doing it yet. Still 9 to go. It's going to be it's a time to get to the front. And oh, we got a car down through the grass there further back.
That's going to be dangerous if it comes back up on the racetrack. Did not quite catch the number on that. Kept it on the grass as all the other cars pass. That will be likely race over for that driver. Did not catch the number. That is...
Might have been Zachary Mitchell. It was Zachary Mitchell in the 23.
Zachary Mitchell losing a lot of ground to the rest of the cars in front of him. All 24 cars on this lead pack, separated just over a second. 1.2 separates 23 race cars right now. It's going to be a battle to the finish. Who's going to make the move first? Who's going to follow? It's only a matter of time before we see something spectacular happen here at Daytona.
Rye Jones still has the lead for now, but Chase Berry continues to try to make that outside lane work. They're being pushed on the outside by Ellis Thomas, on the inside Justin Wilson, and we're finally starting to see that 3 wide action further back. Let's see if these guys in the middle here can get to the front.
3 wide action starting with the 50 of Jacob Bradley. He slots back up to the top, still 3 wide behind. It's starting to get risky.
He kind of got pushed up there. Those cars maybe not the happiest about his send to the middle. He's going to try it again, and it's going to work, but yeah, there are cars trying to cut him off. They don't want him coming through the middle like this. He's past Lidl. Lidl's in the fence back there. Ooh, pile up. Couple cars in the fence further back. They all keep it moving. That's Rob Lidl getting the worst of it. And we're going to go back to 2 wide, but Jacob Bradley jumps up from 18th to 9th in 1 lap.
Fantastic move for Jacob Bradley. Saw him take that middle lane. Nobody dropped down or came up to keep him back there, gaining a lot of positions there. Back to 2x2 here in the top 20.
88's going to try it. James Danforth took a peek to the middle there, but he couldn't quite get it and ended up going straight back to the inside. Wanted to look at it, didn't like what he was seeing. We're going to come to 5 to go this time, and maybe in about 2 laps from now, he will make that move instead of peeling back to the inside.
We're coming around this time. By will lead us to 5 to go. Only 5 laps remaining in the Pocket Crew Chief 175, the season opener for the Spark Racing League. It's been a fantastic race up until this point. Setting up for an exciting finish here tonight. You can't ask for anything more out of a season opener.
Not at all. 4.5 to go as we head down the back straightaway. Barry and Jones still leading these lines to top 2. You're seeing some pushing a little further back. The 58 of Wilson getting really wiggly, and we got a car around at the back. Wreck occurring. Caution is out. That is the 6 of Dave Grajewski, all torn up in the middle of the racetrack.
And just barely caught the 80. Man, Liddell, rather, just cannot catch a break here tonight with that 80 machine.
Oh, that was a 3 wide incident. You'll see it here on the overcut replay. The 28 car at Chris Smith is going to dive into the middle, make contact with that 6, and he's turned around. A lot of cars get some pretty good contact in there as well. You saw him go head on into the nose of Max Cost. Jay Heischman also taking some good damage along with Chris Smith.
Take a look from our blimp camera up here. A little bit of a checkup coming from that 6. 28 got into the back bumper, then just had enough momentum to get to the inside on the entrance of 3. Just could not keep it off that left rear quarter. Head on into Max Cost, like you said. Big hit for the 4 of Gentry into the side of the 6. And lastly, that last little tap to the left rear quarter of the 80 of Liddell. We're going to stack them up one more time here, Sky. This might put us into that green-white checkered territory already.
Yeah, we might have a green-white checkered here. If not, we might have a bit of a kind of natural overtime where we go back green with 2 to go. We're going to see what the pace car does this time around, and that should inform us on if we're going back with 2 to go or if we are going to have that green-white checkered. Pace car is going to come around. We'll see if the lights come off as it hits 3 to go. And they stay on, so it's looking like this might be the green-white checkered here.
This will indeed be the green-white checkered already in effect. So we will have no more attempts to finish this race after this goes green. We will be crowning a race winner in just a few laps. For the moment, let's take a quick word from our sponsors, see what they have to say. We'll be right back to finish out this race with you.
Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wondered why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
And we're back live here with the Spark Racing League. The Pocket Crew Chief 175 already into the green-white checkered territory is Rye Jones. Justin Wilson, the 58 and the 91, will lead these cars to the green flag. This will be our one and only attempt to finish this race. See who has what it takes to take home the first win of the season. Sky. Go ahead, Sky. You had something on your mind.
I was going to say, lights on the pace car are off. We're taking them to turn 3. This is going to be a great finish. It's going to be wide open. You got cars like Rye Jones, who have kind of moved through the field recently. Cars like Justin Wilson, who have found their way back to the front and who have been here all race. Great mix of names up here at the front of the field, and you only get one shot at this, so you better make it count.
You absolutely will have to make it count. These cars will start to stack back up here. Pace car about to turn down pit road. We'll see Barry the flag man throw the green flag one more time here. Rye Jones leads them to the Geico restart zone. And on the loud pedal they go. One more time here at Daytona.
Side by side as we head down the front straightaway. A little bit of a jump for Rye Jones on the top, but he's not able to get anything going because the lane behind him didn't get a good start. That's going to allow Justin Wilson to get the run on the inside. Ellis Thomas back there, third on the inside. Chase Berry also pushing. That inside line is together. They're way more organized than the top, and that's going to help them to get way clear. Oh, almost 3 wide.
That was the 8 of Ellis Thomas, came up from that bottom line, barely clipped the 91 of Rye Jones, put him a little out of shape. Jones now on the high line, nobody to help. It's going to allow that 3 machine of Charles Wembley to get by him. As now we are being led around. Justin Wilson will bring us to the white flag. And it is official. Anything that happens from this point, it is what it is. Justin Wilson in the lead. Chase Berry, hot on his trail. The 88, James Danforth.
Oh, big one.
Right
big
there.
one. Lost about half the field there. Still Wilson out in front, still Berry in second, but we lost about 10 cars in a huge wreck on the back straightaway. Wilson's got the advantage. Who's going to get it as we head down into turn 3?
Justin Wilson with about a 1-car advantage. Will the 46 continue to work with him? Will he try to get clear of the 8 and take that high line to victory? The high line out of shape, and another one. Justin Wilson's going to come out of it with the win here at Daytona. It is official. Justin Wilson is your winner here tonight for the season opener as the big one happens all around the track on the final lap.
Yeah, I think we wrecked about every single car in the field other than the winner. Coming to the end of that race, Ellis Thomas managed to come through to take second. Ryan Rose, who we didn't really talk about all race, spinning and in the fence across the line, but he manages to take home third.
Take this back on the overcut replay camera. See what happened here to the back half of the field to start with. Get on our blimp camera here and get a nice top-down view. So what happened here going into turn number 3. Big stack up there for that outside line. Where does this happen? Went back a little bit too far for this, I apologize for that, but This is the lap. This is the one we want to see.
Yeah, this is right here. This is this 3 wide bit in the mid pack that just kind of breaks down here. You'll see it. Yeah,
So
a couple
55.
cars all getting turned around. That was the 55 Evan Pienta, also heavily involved in that, going like pinwheeling down the straightaway there. Still finished the race in 17th. And then this is the pack coming to the line. They're going to have another accident coming down the front straightaway, and that's going to let Justin Wilson get through clean to win. Second, third, and fourth were all separated by 5 thousandths of a second.
Little out of shape on the exit of 4 there. It's Johnny Rapp sideways, the 46 sideways, and pretty well just collects everybody else, allowing Justin Wilson to come away with the win.
Ellis Thomas did not have all 4 wheels on the ground when he crossed the line for second. He got second of 2-wheeling that thing on the right side.
Take a look at that 8 machine of Ellis. See exactly what you're talking about here, Sky.
I mean, yeah, he got hit in a way that sent the left side of his car up into the air, and I think he about 1-wheeled it across the line there. He had the right rear on the ground, full throttle, and he had nothing else connected to the racetrack. Somehow managed to take second at the end of that.
Right, well, I have lost the replayability for the time being, but let's send it right back to our sponsors for the series. Pocket Crew Chief coming at you. Be right back with our top 3 finishers and final results.
Hey partner, I'm Barry, your Pocket Crew Chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wonder why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
And we're back with our post-race coverage. We'll get right into things here with our final results of the race for the Pocket Crew Chief 175. 2 cautions all race long, 25 lead changes for the race. Justin Wilson taking home the first win of the season. The 58 team has got to be happy with that. Followed up by Ellis Thomas, who, as Sky said, apparently came across the start-finish line completely off the ground. So the 8 machine thought it was an airplane here tonight. Followed up by the 78 of Ryan Rose, taking home our top 3 positions. The 00 will take home the 4th position, AJ Maglio. That'll be followed up by the 11 of Brian Brobst, followed by the 88 of James Danforth. The 7 of Charles Wembley will take home the 3 of Charles Wembley will take home the 7th position. The 5 of Robert Brobst will take the 8th spot. To finish out our top 10, we have the 50 of Jacob Bradley, followed by the 46 of Chase Berry.
Coming home outside the top 10 tonight, in 11th, it's going to be Sean Mulholland. Max Cost in 12th tonight with Benson Weaver in 13th. Jake Maki finishes 14th in the 13 car with Johnny Rapp in 15th. Braxton DeWeiss in the 16 car with Evan Pienta in the 17. Chris French in the 53 finishes 18th. Jay Heischman in 19th, and Rob Liedl in 20th.
And to round out the back of this field, we have the 28 of Chris Smith in 21st, followed by the 26 of Dylan LeBeau. Rye Jones in the 91 will take home the 22nd spot, followed by the 54 of Levi Cox. Zachary Mitchell in the 23 takes the 25th spot home. Ryan Phillips in the 27 machine gets 26th here tonight. Tom Lickert in the 99 will take home 27th, followed by Dade Rajewski in the 6 machine. Patrick O'Toole in the 44, then Paul Thomas in the 42. Last but not least in the top 30, Steve Vest in the 60. Finish out this field here. This is not correct, but Nathan Gentry will take home the 31st spot, and then Jacob Phillips will take home the 32nd spot of the race. Next up, we have our top 3 to talk to. We'll see what they have to say about this race. And Sky, I believe you are standing by with our 3rd place finisher, Ryan Rose.
Yeah, hey Ryan, you got a copy? Let me know if you can hear me, Ryan.
Yeah, I can.
All right. You restarted pretty far back there with 2 laps to go. You were kind of back in around 12th or 14th. Talk to me about surviving that and getting through the field on that restart to take the top 3.
I just I just prayed to God. I feel bad for Ryan Jones. I kind of tail slapped him into the wall, and I definitely didn't mean to do that. It was really tight 3 wide, and it felt like that to me anyway. And I kind of tail slapped him, and I feel really bad about that. But I kind of knew if I wanted to make up any kind of positions, I needed to be to the top, and I just kind of went up there and prayed to God.
Yeah, I mean, you were kind of wrecking across the line. You were in the wall, taking 3rd. What were you thinking when they just all wrecked ahead of you there on the last lap?
I hoped. I mean, I didn't expect to finish this good at all, so I'll take it. But super speedway racing has never been something I've really liked, and it's yeah, and I just kind of prayed.
Yeah, looking ahead, we got Homestead on the calendar, another Florida track next week. Is that one you're excited for?
I really like Homestead. I don't think I'm as good as some of the other guys in here at it. Definitely, the guys in Payday are really good at that track, and I'm kind of just a 3rd leg, I guess. So yeah, I hope to finish maybe this good, but I don't know.
All right. Anyone you want to thank tonight?
Just my mom, my dad, Breath Electric, all the guys in the Payday crew. They've helped me out a lot, and yeah,
All right. Congrats on 3rd place, Ryan Rose.
yeah, thank you.
While we were talking to him, I believe we have also caught up with our 2nd place finisher tonight, Ellis Thomas. Ellis, you have a copy?
I got a copy, guys.
You crossed the start finish line there at the end of that race, pretty much off the ground. Tell me kind of how that came to be and what you were thinking there when they wrecked.
Man, the final 2 laps, that green white checkered, I was kind of toying with the idea of just being conservative and kind of trying to walk away with the top 5. And then I was like, nah, I just got to go for it. This is one of those races where you really got to push it or you're really going to drop back. So I was committed to pushing until I found that hole and got up to the top. And then I got loose off 4. And I felt bad for the 3 because both me and the 46 kind of came colliding into him coming to the line. But I was just full throttle. Once you get to that white flag, you're not lifting. So we did what we could, and I thought it was a great race. Even though we kind of crossed the line all torn up, it was fun for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you started this race all the way back in 28th. You still managed to pull off a 2nd. What was your strategy through the race to kind of get through the field?
And I never know what to do on restrictor plate tracks. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I just need to race up front. Tonight, I was like, I think I'll lag back for the first part of the race and just take it easy. And that seemed to work. We got on pit road cleanly and then kind of lost that main pack on the exit of pit road. So before that caution with 12 laps to go, I was just going to be fighting for a top 10 finish, really seventh, eighth, or ninth. So that caution that fell was a big blessing. And that I can't say that was the strategy, but it played into our hands tonight for sure.
All right, looking ahead kind of to the rest of the season next week, we're racing at Homestead. Is that something that a track you really like?
Man, I'll be quite honest. Mile and a halves have historically not been my forte, but we've got some momentum this week coming out of Daytona and that pocket crew chief Ford Mustang. So I'm hoping that we can take it to Homestead and rip that fence and have a little bit of speed. I think it'll be a great race. Homestead historically puts on great races in Spark, so I think next week will probably be more of the same. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, you have anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, just all my teammates with Slingshot Racing Media and Pocket Crew Chief. It's a AI app that you can use for your open setups to really just give it input on what the car is doing, and it'll give you automatic tips to improve the speed and get you up into the top split. So thepocketcc.com is where you can find that. And also for you guys for a great broadcast, and Spark with Johnny and all the other admin who put this on. It's a great league, and we hope to get more drivers over the course of the season. So thanks, guys.
All right, congrats on second place, Ellis Thomas.
Thanks.
And while we were talking to him, Logan has caught back up with our first place finisher tonight, Justin Wilson.
I indeed have Justin Wilson down here in the winner's circle. Let him catch his breath, celebrating a little bit too hard after that, it sounds like.
Yeah, I got bronchitis right now. I'm a little under the weather, so.
Man, well, yeah, I guess you could kind of throw this in the category as the flu game.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, fantastic race here tonight, Justin. Only 6 laps led, but you led the most important one. Got the win here in the season opener. How does that make you feel to start off this brand new season with that first win? It gives you quite the head start going into the rest of the schedule.
Yeah, I'm really been looking forward to it. I try to tell myself, one win a season. So I got the first one out of the way, so I can crash on the rest of them, and we'll be good.
Well, that's quite the interesting take on that. But hey, if it works, you might as well. But you managed to navigate through some pretty nasty accidents here tonight. And obviously that last one being the biggest, you're sitting a couple rows back, and all of a sudden you're up here towards the front. Stuff starts happening all around you. What is your mindset in that exact moment? Is it just strictly pedal to the metal and get through it? Or are you trying to navigate?
I actually try to navigate. I've been doing this a while and been really good at super speedway racing. And the biggest thing is to just really stay calm. I never get worked up. I never tense up, right? When I stay calm and stay focused, right, it's really pretty easy to navigate through a lot of wrecks. We were very fortunate. I get a whole lot of damage on that pit road accident. The 15 got sideways, and it was either hit him or hit the car underneath me, and I chose the car underneath me. So I do apologize for whoever that was. I think it was Danforth. I hope it didn't kill you too bad, but I wasn't hitting a parked car. But gave me quite a bit of damage, but we weren't able to get it fixed. But it seemed to do okay. I was really worried about the arrows, so I kind of just rode behind Ryan Jones for pretty much the whole race, and then just kind of hope for the end, and just hope that the arrow didn't hurt the car, which fortunately it didn't. And I had a good pusher behind me, Chase Berry.
Absolutely. It was a great team effort here all throughout this race. But Justin Wilson, that 58 team is celebrating. Better get back to him. But before you go, is there anybody you'd like to say thanks to, buddy?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming on board, man. I'm going to look forward to looking at the broadcast and seeing how we do the rest of the season. Hopefully all the races are as clean as they were tonight. I want to thank Spark. I've been around with Spark for a few seasons now. And everyone that we were running with tonight, Ryan Rose was running with us, Chase Berry, Ryan, I know you got kind of tangled up there at the end, Johnny Rapp. So I want to thank those guys and just kind of the whole race. That was a really good race.
It was a fantastic race, and glad to be a part of it with you guys. Looking forward to the rest of the season. And we will see you next week at Homestead, Justin.
My worst track. Love it.
Well, best of luck to you. We'll see you there regardless. And that'll finish up what we've got for our post-race coverage. Fantastic race to start out the season here tonight. Looking forward to the rest of the schedule. As mentioned, Homestead up next week. We'll see what these drivers can do to tame that track there. Sky, is there anything you'd like to say here about the race tonight?
I just think that was a great finish all the way to the end. Those guys were going at it. Like I said, second through fourth separated by 5/1000th of a second. They were about as close as you can get coming across the line for position there. That was a really, really good finish at the end of that race.
It absolutely was. Looking forward to more of those throughout the season. But if you enjoyed tonight's broadcast, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another race. For everybody behind the scenes at Spark and for everybody behind the scenes at V-Speed, Adam Baker, Bradley Cooper, Eddie Smith, Morgan Cook, my co-host, Sky Shrek, I've been Logan Threlkeld. Good night, and we will see you next week.